Disorders Advisory Council. And I want to welcome you to our meeting today. Gemma, any opening remarks?
None at this time. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. And I don't believe that Yana is with us. I think from what I've seen, she's on vacation, which is great for her. So with that, why don't we get started? Lisa, do you want to take the roll? Where is she? Uh-oh. Hey, Amy, do you know by chance what's going on with Lisa?
I don't know. I know she's on. Let me.
Oh, is she? Because I don't see her either. Sorry. Maybe she's on mute. Lisa?
I don't see her in the attendance.
You don't see her?
Yeah, I don't see her yet. Yeah.
I know she just sent an email too. Let me double check. Let me text her.
Thank you.
Yep.
And if everybody could mute their devices, that would be helpful. So why don't we do this, since everybody's time is precious and I do appreciate everyone being here. How about if we go right into the public comment and then we can always come back to the attendance. So with that, is there anybody here that would like to ask questions or make a comment from the public? I know we do have some people on today.
I just wanted to say that I'm new to this. I'm excited to be joining this. My son is 23 years old on the spectrum, and he's been on the waiver list since 2014, and I'm in dire need of help. And so I just want to help out in any way I can to get this moving forward and to get help for these adults and children.
Well, welcome, Lynn. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. Hi, Alice. So nice to see you.
Oh, thank you. So nice to see you all. I'm coming in just as a member of the public. I'm the CEO at Clifford Beers, and we've been delivering now autism intellectual disability services for about 4 or 5 years, and we have a lot of thoughts and comments around how to make that process smoother for our little ones as well as our adults. So I'm excited to listen in. Thank you.
Thank you, Alice. And let me just say, we so appreciate what you do. Clifford Beards has always been really near and dear to my heart. So thank you guys. Thank you guys for everything that you do. Amy, any thoughts from Lisa?
Yeah, she's trying to get on. I don't.
Oh, okay.
She's not in the right place. I don't know why. I'm trying to forward her the invite again now. I don't.
Hey, Cass.
She doesn't see it. She doesn't see anybody. She said.
Can you re-forward it to Lisa, please?
Sure.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here from the public that would like to just speak at this time? Okay, well, seeing none, thank you to Lynn and Alice for being here as part of the public. We do appreciate it. Up next, we are looking at an update from Beacon from Jen Crome. Jen? I don't see her either in the waiting room. This is going to be a short meeting at the rate we're going.
I think there's some folks that are on an old Teams link. So I think Lisa was trying to get over.
That's the problem she's saying. So she's trying to get everybody switched over. She just sent an
Oh, okay.
I'm going to see if I can help her do this quick so we don't waste time.
Okay. Cass, if you could help too in any way, that'd be great.
I don't have access to whatever Lisa had sent prior,
Oh,
otherwise I would have jumped on.
okay.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
But I'll
Thank
stay
you.
on here and let people in.
Great. I apologize to everyone.
I can tell you, I was one of the people in the wrong location and I'm here now, so I imagine everyone's going to make their way over.
Great. Thank you, Kathy.
Welcome.
We'll get this right.
Morning. So I've been having computer issues all morning, and the only access I was able to get into was the Teams. I don't know what happened here.
Oh, wow. Is that you, Lisa? Because you're coming through just as iPhone 2.
That's me.
Okay.
I
Okay.
had to go through my phone because I'm having computer issues today.
I was too this morning, so I get it. Your anxiety.
Yeah, it's been my whole I'm having Outlook issues.
Yeah.
So linked to Outlook. So my apologies for that.
No, no problem.
Lisa,
No
I just
problem.
forwarded that invite, so hopefully everybody will see that.
Okay. They should have received the I did send a calendar invite for Zoom.
Yeah. Yeah, and it canceled out the old one, so I agree with you there. Lisa, did you see Jen Crome from Beacon in the other room?
She was not in there, and as of yesterday, she still had not heard back from the state partners whether she can present. So I think it's something that we have to request before every meeting, and her presentation has to be approved.
Okay, I'll take care of it after this meeting.
Okay.
All right, so why don't we do this? Why don't we, Lisa, do you want to take the roll? We'll go back a little bit, and then from there, we'll go right on to the autism waiver update, which I'm really excited about.
Sorry, I was muted.
No problem.
Jennifer Abeda-Marco,
Here, good morning, everyone.
Representative Abercrombie,
Here.
Stephen Byers, I believe he declined. Judy Dowd,
Here.
Amy Dumont,
Here.
Marcia Eckerd,
Here.
Melissa Gagney declined. Angie Annette will be attending at 10:30 because she had a conflict. Brian Klimkowitz,
He had a conflict. He just sent an email this morning.
okay. Julie McKenna, Andrew Camaro,
Here.
Jim Loomis,
Here.
Kathy Marchione,
Sorry, I was muted here.
Jim Miller, Krista Ostaszewski, Yana will not be attending. Danielle Pena,
Present.
Lynn Ricky,
Here.
Colleen Kursky, Lois Rosenwald,
Here.
Carol Ryan Hanlon,
Here.
Carrie Sessu, Doriana Vicedomini,
Here.
and Julie Wolf.
Here.
Okay.
Lisa, just to confirm, you have Gemma as a here, right? You're on mute,
And-
Lisa.
Sorry. Yes,
That's
I
okay.
have.
Okay, just
And-
want to make
and-
sure.
Yes.
And we have Bill here too, Bill Halsey. I didn't know if she had called his name or not.
Well, he's not actually part of the membership. He's here as part of DSS, so
Oh,
that's why
okay.
she
Hi,
won't
Bill.
call his name.
Well,
Yeah,
Okay.
And I can only stay for a little while, but I just want to say hi.
Morning,
we're
Bill.
glad you're here, Bill. Thank you. So
And
we're gonna,
I will check on the Beacon authorization process for the presentation. That sounds like a mistake since she's been doing those on a regular basis. So I will take care of that piece.
thank you. It could be the new leadership now. with Lori gone, maybe there's a new process in place, but who knows? Thank you, Bill, for doing that. I appreciate it. So with that, we'll go on to the update of the autism waiver. Amy, are you going to be presenting this?
Yeah. Yep. So I'll give you just where we're at today. So currently, I think you all received a one pager. There's a public hearing this afternoon at 1 p.m. in regards to the autism waiver renewal. So I did circulate like a one pager of the highlights, and I'll go over those. But our current clients being served as of today are 170. Our wait list as of today was 1,996 clients. The last renewal of the autism waiver was back on January 1st of 2018. So the renewal is for 5 years. So here we are again. The new renewal will take effect 1/1/23. As I said, we have the public hearing today at 1 p.m. And this is due to CMS for October 1st because they have a certain window of time where they have to review our waiver renewal and proposals and get back to us if there's any questions or concerns that they have for our response. As far as staffing goes, I have a new case manager starting. As you all know, we were given the additional 150 slots. The first 50 slots, we've filled all of those, and I believe it might confirm if I'm wrong, we have all of those folks on the waiver or in some stages of coming on the waiver because of the financial eligibility. The next 150 we're working on. I do have a new case manager to help start with that process on October 7th. Her name is Jeanette Cruz. She's coming from DDS. And we also have 8 folks that we need to interview. So those hopefully will be starting soon. We have some human resource things to work out, but other than that, we'll start those interviews soon, and we'll onboard those next 3. So that's working out well. So I'm just going to go over that one pager that Lisa had sent out in regards to the waiver changes, and certainly I don't know if any of you have signed up to give any public comment this afternoon, but if you have any questions, feel free to ask. So we did add an additional service to the waiver, nutrition. The definition of the nutrition service is a clinical assessment to develop, special diet plans, recommendations for equipment that people need, counseling for dietary needs related to medical diagnoses. These services are not covered by the Medicaid state plan, and we're limiting them to 25 hours of service per year. And it's going to require prior authorization from the provider who's going to be delivering the service from the case manager. And we added this service to the waiver to help our participants in making healthy choices, especially those that have diabetes. We have many with diabetes on the waiver currently, and the case managers are excited to get this service up and running for some that are really struggling, especially some that have obesity related issues with chronic medical conditions. So we've added that service to the waiver. The other thing, we already went over this, again, the legislative expansion of the 50 slots, which we've already taken care of. And now the additional 150. I didn't need an amendment to add the first 50 slots. And I'm not good with the numbers, but we had enough slots allotted where we could accommodate those 150. So I had to ask for the additional 150 in this waiver renewal, which I did. That shouldn't be an issue. But we've talked about that already. I did change some service definitions, social skills group, life skills coaching, and clinical behavioral supports. I changed those, and I can get some more data if you wish, but we found through the public health emergency that those services that were delivered virtually were very successful for our population. So in our emergency appendix K, we have that in there to deliver services in a virtual means or an alternate means, and I wish to keep that. Obviously, I would always want people to be seen in person first, but we left that as an option because there still are people on the waiver or just in general that may be fearful of having folks coming into their home. But this population really thrived, I think, virtually, especially with the social skills group. And I know I could get data to support that from Dr. Palmieri and his team at CCSN if you need that. So we did that. Let's see what else. And then just the last thing that I did was I modified the definition of life skills coaching. We had in that definition that that person needed to have a bachelor's degree. But we're finding that there's a lot of talented staff that don't necessarily have the bachelor's degree, but have a lot of experience and have high school diplomas and have experience with working with those on the spectrum. So we removed that requirement. And that also opens up our pool of providers as well, because we're so limited. So I thought that that was important to do. But also, there was a competency training that life skills coaches had gone through previously when they were at DDS. I removed that because I have a contract with CCSN where Dr. Palmieri and Nicole Collins do quarterly provider training. And that I made mandatory for all staff working with individuals on the waiver. So those are just, you know, all of the changes that will be coming forth in this waiver. And if down the road we find that there's other things that we need, we can always do an amendment. But that's where we are at this point. So I'd be happy to take any questions.
So if you could raise your hand if you have any questions, that'd be great. Amy, can you just real quick say what CCSN is?
I apologize. I'm sorry. The
That's okay.
Center for Children with Special Needs.
Great, thank you. Gemma?
I just wanted to see, could you post the link for where that hearing is? Because I would try and attend virtually. Can you just someone post that in the chat?
Cass can take care of that. It's Human Services and Appropriations at 1 o'clock. We have to approve all waivers or waiver amendments under statute. So yeah, Cass, if you could send that to Lisa so that she could send it out to the membership, that'd be great.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Jim, sorry, Loomis.
Thank you, Kathy. I think, you know, historically, I get the idea of taking away the bachelor's degree requirement for life skills coaches, because there are so many talented people out there who don't have that. But at the same time, there's always been a really big risk that these people get very little training. Some of them have very little background, and some of them are really, you know, ill-suited for the role. You said that there is quarterly trainings with Mark and Nicole, and is that required for all life skills coaches?
I've made that a requirement for all life skills coaches going forward because I removed that requirement.
So 4 times a year, all life skills coaches will be meeting with Mark and Nicole.
Yes, and they have a curriculum that they've set up. And if anybody wishes to have that, I don't know, Lisa, do you have that curriculum, the schedule, if you wanted to post that in the chat too, so just so everybody can see? They do a fantastic job. Their training is phenomenal. So I'm glad that I'm making that mandatory at this point.
But and the agency agree with this, that all they will pay their coaches to go, or they just require them to do it on their own time?
I don't understand the question, Jim. I'm sorry.
In other words, if a life skills coach 4
agency?
times a year goes to this training, are they being paid by the agency to do that, or are they just expected to do it for free?
I'm not sure how the agencies are going to handle that. The providers are going to handle that with their staff. You know, the expectation is that they deliver the service, they need the training. So
right, but in the past, the agencies have really not. I mean, they've provided no training, and they've not seen that as necessary. and the problem always has been paying for the time that the coaches are getting trained. That's why I'm just curious.
I mean, I know at the training, and Lisa, correct me if I'm wrong, I know we've had fantastic turnouts for those trainings, and even now by not having them being required. But I hear what you're saying. I'm going to have to take that back, Jim, and get more information for you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
How many hours are the training a quarter?
1 moment, please, Josh. 1 moment. Andrew, sorry. Amy, if you could just put that for the agenda for the next meeting, that'd be great, just to do as a follow-up, okay?
Sure, absolutely. Sure, no
Thank
problem.
you. I appreciate that. Jim, anything else?
No.
Okay, thank you. Andrew?
How many hours a quarter are the trainings?
Correct me if
Is
I'm
it all
wrong.
day?
No, they're, I think 4-hour blocks.
In person?
They're virtual right now.
Okay. I just want to let you know, as somebody who provides waiver services with a part-time employee who, and we keep getting asked more and more, that we already kind of don't make money on it. But it's a good thing to do. And we keep getting asked a lot for his specific self-employment. The 4 hours a week for how much he works just makes it uneconomical, at least for us. So maybe if he could have the bachelor's degree as an alternative. If he was full-time, that would be different for me. And I understand that's my problem. But
Andrew, just to clarify, it's 4 hours a quarter, not a week.
no, I get that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, okay.
Lynn, as part of the public, we don't normally open it up to the public to ask once the council meeting has met. Usually it's just asking questions or comments at the beginning. So unfortunately, I won't be, calling on you to ask your questions. I apologize for that. ILC, that's what you're coming up as an initial on here, so I apologize.
No, it's Carol.
Oh, Carol, hi.
Hi. I am just hearing now, I guess, that the training from Amy is going to be required. And I'm just going to echo what Andrew said. We have a lot of staff that would be required to do that. And it would be incredibly cost prohibitive, considering that we pay our staff a lot because most of them already have bachelor's degrees. So I would wonder if, with Andrew, if the bachelor's degree could be substituted for that amount of training, because it would be very challenging for me to be able to provide that that training for all of my staff.
Okay, yeah, I could take that back, and I'll present that to the commissioner before the public hearing today. Maybe we could keep that in as an alternative. Instead of a necessity.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amy, for taking that under advisement. Mike?
Yeah,
my concern with having a bachelor's degree or the training is some of the bachelor's degrees are in finance or accounting and nothing related to this field. I would think the training would be far more valuable than just a 4-year degree.
Thank you, Mike. Jim?
Thank you, Kathy. I appreciate the comments from Andrew and Carol, because this has always been an issue. And in that we pay these people very little, we don't give them any training, and yet they are the front line. They are the ones that carry the load and make the big difference. So it's something that I would really encourage all the people who are part, Mike and Amy and everybody, to really look deeply at this. Quarterly training would be wonderful if people would go to it and it would be supported. Raising the amount so you can attract people with a different skill set, that would be great. But this is a problem, I think, like Amy was saying, there are certain people without a college degree who just do this, they don't need training and they're wonderful at it. But that's not the majority. The majority are people, and many of whom really, provide services that are inconsistent. And if we're not looking at any outcomes, which we're not, we don't know what coaching works, what coaching doesn't work. We don't know, any of that. Then we're just throwing money at something with very little control. And so I would just encourage them to really dig deep at this and try to come up with a solution.
Amy, can you again just repeat the timeline for the training, please? I think I heard two different things.
So it's a quarterly training offered by CCSN. It's a 4-hour training per quarter with a specific curriculum. I think Lisa said she was having trouble adding it to the chat, but I could send that list out to everybody if you want to see that. But I hear what everybody's saying, and I understand that. I just didn't want to limit that group only to just specifically bachelor's degree. I really wanted to open up that pool But for those who didn't have an advanced degree, and those who didn't have an advanced degree and maybe a related area, like Michael indicated, I wanted to be able to provide that training and make that training something, special and important for them to attend. So I hear what you're saying. So, I mean, we could certainly keep the bachelor's degree and or high school diploma with experience in autism, but make those that don't have the high school, that don't have the bachelor's degree, make that training. I don't like the word mandatory, but that's what it would be, mandatory. I don't know if that makes sense to everybody.
So Amy, if I have a bachelor's degree and I get hired to do this service, do I automatically get a training?
The training is optional at this point, but we do have a lot of providers that sign up on a quarterly basis to attend.
But what makes them qualified just because they have a bachelor's degree? Like, no offense, if we want a specialized skill, right, for this particular service, I'm just going to talk from a legislative point of view, because we've had issues with services through the years that people weren't trained properly on, right? And you can't redo a service if it's not done properly. I would think that everybody that gets hired to perform this should have to have some kind of training. And if the training is consistent across everyone, I think that's in the best interest of the people that we represent. So I would say, and I'm just going to say from a legislative point of view, I think that everyone that applies for this, whether they have a bachelor's or not, should have that 1 4-hour training to make sure everybody's on the same page. Are you saying that those people have to have a training every quarter for 4 hours?
Yes, there's a quarterly training. There's a curriculum. There's all different topics that Nikki presents. Mike, do you happen to have the schedule in front of you by any chance?
Unfortunately, I don't, but
No.
I
just wanted to give them an idea of some of the topics that we talk about quarterly.
But also, in addition to the autism training, each agency has agency-specific training that they put all of their employees into.
Right.
So Amy, for the 4-hour training, I think I heard you say that it can also be done online, correct?
It's all virtual right now. We're not doing it in person at this point.
And then there's some kind of sign off at the end of the training so that you know who's been trained and who hasn't.
Yeah, Nicole Collins from Connecticut is the Center for Children with Special Needs. She facilitates all that. It's either Dr. Mark Palmieri or sometimes Felicia Morgan do the training, and Lisa helps to coordinate all of that, and they take attendance, and there's a sign off, and there's a competency assessment at the end. So they're very structured in those trainings.
So because it's part of the waiver right now that's being submitted, how much flexibility do you have to internally change that process? So if you decide, and I'll just be honest with everybody, I'm not in favor of not everybody having the training. I'll just say it. I don't care if you have a bachelor's or not. Just because I have a bachelor's, I could have it in finance. That's not going to help with this field. So I'm just going to give you my opinion, and you guys are more experts than I am on this council. But if we're going, say you decide after you talk to the commissioner that you're going to say, if you have a bachelor's, you don't have to do the training. How much flexibility do you have within the waiver, or will you have to amend it later on, or part of the process when you submit it to CMS?
I would have to amend it later, but I wouldn't want to do that. It's not due to CMS till October 1st, but I would want to let the commissioner know today, because we have the public hearing that we're going to make that change to that service definition, and I'll have to figure out how I'll write that. But I think you're right. I would love for everybody to participate in the training. I think it's very valuable because many don't have bachelor's degrees in a related field. So I think it's something easy enough we can change. I just have to communicate it to her thoughtfully so we could present that this afternoon.
And then do we give the providers a stipend of any kind for the 4 hours? So say someone is doing it after hours.
No, no, they hold the trainings at certain times. I think she just sent the link again. But no, there's certain times that Nikki has the training it's offered. It's usually during the day. And it's virtual, so I could even ask her if she could record it.
Yeah, I think we have to think through this. I don't want, let me just say, I don't want you to make a haste decision with the commissioner.
Yeah, I don't
I appreciate everyone's comments on this. I think it's very valuable. But I think that when DSS does a waiver or a waiver renewal or an amendment, they really kind of think through this. And for us to just change it now, I'll just speak from a legislative point of view again. I'm a little bit hesitant. Doriana, your thoughts?
I was wondering if the training curriculum is similar to what they use when they go into school districts for multiple years and they do like one level of schooling, like elementary, then the intermediate, and the middle school. There would be some similarity to that for consistency. I'm curious.
I'm going to find her schedule and see if I could post it right now. This way you could see what I hate to tell you something empirically and you don't see it.
While we're waiting for that, Lynn Ricky?
Yeah, so I definitely understand, especially smaller agencies struggle to pay for this training, but I too would advocate that it be across the board for consistency. I think if we require training for somebody to do their job, we are mandated to pay for it. If we are mandated to pay for it, I have to assume maybe it's not accurate that better trained folks are going to be more successful at their job and therefore hopefully stay longer. So we're not having the turnover in these roles. So I understand it's a challenge and would advocate looking potentially for funds to support agencies in doing that. But I do just agree that it should be across the board.
Thank you, Lynn. Andrew, I'm not avoiding you. I'm just calling on people that haven't spoken yet. So Lois, are you trying to speak?
Yes,
Okay.
I am. I'm sorry, but my hand is not working for whatever reason on my iPad, so I haven't been able to use it. That's why I've been. Anyway, I'm in total agreement, Kath, with you. I think that, to do away with this training, it needs to be mandatory. We have huge problems with untrained staff, and we need to be solving that. And this is not an answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Andrew?
So I just want to reiterate that, for us and this, we're again a small agency, we just wouldn't do it anymore. And if we're trying to expand providers, a thought I might have is let's truly expand it and monitor the outcomes of both for a little while if we can change it. Because they're, we keep getting asked for the same person to do more work. So we will lose a good provider if we do this. I just want to tell you, it's fine. I'm just telling you.
So Andrew, you really think someone's going to walk away for a 4-hour training that has to be done on a quarterly basis?
He only does this a couple hours a week. It's already hard enough when half the people don't show up and we don't get paid, and he blocked the time as a part-time individual. I understand this is my issue. I'm not asking the council to solve it, but I'm just letting you know what we would be required to do, right? If he was full-time, it wouldn't be an issue for us, but it's more, and there's no one else, and Amy James has said there's no one else who does what he does, which is the self-employment coaching, right? So I don't think we're actually providing life skills. So I guess I could drop it, being able to offer that, but that also just seems silly. I will say the virtual is fantastic. That is so thank you. But I'm just curious, that will make it harder. And we would just drop life skills and not be able to help more people. And Jeremy's fantastic. So it is what it is. So
okay, thank you, Andrew.
That would
That's
be Yeah, thank you. That would be unfortunate on a quarterly basis because he does such a great job.
I'm telling you, we're already really don't make money on the waiver with Jeremy because half the people don't show up, then he doesn't get paid, and he won't give me more hours. I would hire him full time if I could. And so we've already been on the fence before. This would just push us over because it's about a ratio of the amount of time he's spending on the waiver people versus the actual cost of the 4-hour training. That's not the issue, right? It's he can only work so much. And again, I get it's a me problem, but we would have to, I think he only does the job coaching at the moment. So I guess we could drop social skills, but it seems silly.
I just posted the schedule in the chat, but I sent it to everybody via email because that looks nicer.
Thank you, Amy.
Yeah, no
We
problem.
appreciate that. Thank you, Andrew. Gemma?
I'm wondering if these required skills training, would it make the individual more marketable to do any sort of training for any other agencies? Or I'm wondering if there's a way we can leverage that training so that it doesn't have to become, you know what I mean? Like they need it just for this one task. And I don't know enough about it, but Amy, I would just put that into the room.
That's a great idea because on other waivers, specifically on the brain injury waiver, we do have providers that take particular trainings and then pay it back either in their agencies or to multiple sister agencies. So that, I mean, I think that's a great idea if providers are open to considering something like that. But yeah, thank you for that comment.
Sure.
Thank you, Gemma. Carol?
I'm just going to follow up as a provider, as opposed to a member of this council, that it would make it so that we don't make any money on life skills and community mentoring. We really don't make a lot. And I think that we do a good job. I think Interlocking Connections does a good job with the guys that we work with. It would make it so really realistically, I could not take on any more clients. I would not be able to do that because if I have 15 people going through this, I'm going to be paying over $10,000 a year in training for them, which I think it's wonderful that they get trained. I think it's absolutely great. I hear what everybody's saying. And I think that our staff, I'll speak for myself. I think my staff are quite good. But I can't afford to put people through and have it cost money. And if we could get reimbursed for it, I would be 100%, I'm speaking out of both, but like a provider and as the council person, absolutely 100%. People need training. There's a lot of work being done out there that's not great. As a provider, I can't afford to train staff the way you're asking me to train them, which means I cannot pick up any more clients. I'm just putting it out there.
No, and we appreciate that, Carol, because I always like to say it's the boots on the ground, really, that we need to hear from. What are the ramifications of anything that we do legislatively? So whether it's this waiver or amendment, it's always nice to hear from people like yourself that have to live it. And Andrew also, what are the ramifications? Mike? Amy, excuse me, Mike, for a minute. Amy James, can you mute, please?
Sorry.
That's okay. Thank you. Mike?
So staff already receive individual specific training and are able to bill for those hours. So it's something that we can look at that they're able to, we can somehow put it in so that they can bill for the hours when they are receiving the training. Because they already receive it, like if they're getting trained in a behavioral program or in the medical thing or something like that, they're able to bill for those hours.
I think that would be very helpful from a provider's point of view if that's something that you can do. So thank you for offering that, Mike.
We can certainly look at that.
Yeah, I know you have to go through your leadership on that. It's not something that Amy can agree to right here and now. So I just want everybody to be aware of that. She does have to take it back to the commissioner, and then the commissioner, even though we have Judy here from OPM, they still have to, and I'm not going to put you on the spot, Jude, because I know you have to have a conversation with the commissioner, but it is something that they have to look at, especially budget wise, what's in there. So I just want everybody to be aware of that. Any other questions or comments about the waiver? Seeing none, thank you so much, Amy, for that presentation. We do appreciate it.
Thank
I
you.
think, this will probably be going on till noon. So if you want to call me after that, just to let me know what you guys are going to decide so that I can be helpful in the hearing at 1 o'clock.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, we had, and I'm not sure who was going to present this, the Center of Excellence update. And I know that Carrie isn't, I don't believe that Carrie did join us. Was there anybody else that had an update on that or from the agency? Amy?
The only thing I could say is that we're still working with our contracts department, and we have a timeline for how all that will roll out. I know Jennifer, my director, she's working with them specifically on that and some updated language that they needed, but we were not looking for maybe a start for that, depending on all of the timelines that contracts needs for April of next year. But I can't speak anything more about that right now because I don't have any updated information specifically today. But if you would like, I could report out again next time.
That's what I was going to say. Do you
Okay.
think you would be
Sure.
prepared for the next meeting?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we will put that on the agenda for the next meeting. Jim, do you have any question?
Thank you, Kathy. I'm just,
Sure.
this is probably the third meeting where I've asked for an update on this. This is the money that's been sitting there probably for 5 years now. That we talked about, we planned about, we finally came up with this Center for Excellence idea. I know Bill was here earlier. I think he's probably, he may know something, I don't know, but the point is that this is really just, every meeting we come in and it gets tabled again. Is there a determination for what's happened to this money and where it is or what's going on? Contracting literally takes a year to come up with an RFP. I don't understand.
Amy or Judy?
Well, I could just speak to the fact that I mean, we've been working consistently with that department. I can't say anything in particular about their timeline, their staffing, their issues, but I know we continue to work on it, and their director, Diana, has put forth a timeline. So I could gather more information and be more prepared to talk about it next time. I know I wasn't here the last meeting. I can't.
I have asked for an update every meeting.
I know you have
for the last year, and it's the question. This was a sizable amount of money that had been devoted to the community, for the people with autism, and it has just slipped into who knows where. Maybe it's been spent. I don't know, but the point is, if it's gone, fine, but let us know it's gone. I mean, if there's something holding it up, let us know something's holding it up. But these non-answers are just terribly, terribly frustrating.
So the money's not gone. I can tell you that, Jim, the money's not gone, right? I think the second thing is, I think we're closer to a proposal than we've been in a long time. And I think that the agency and OPM understand that we want this resolved. I can tell you that we have had some huge issues since we've changed directions when it comes to HR, and it's been very challenging for all of our agencies. So, I don't think that Amy can do more than what she's doing. It's sort of like the process is what it is at this point. I know that's not a helpful comment to make, but it's actually the reality of what we're living in right now. And then couple that with over 4,000 retirees, there's a lot going on within our agency. So I will give you my word, Jim, that after this meeting, I will have a conversation with whomever through DSS, find out exactly where we are and make sure that we have a hopefully resolution for our next meeting on what's going to happen with these dollars. Amy or Judy, do you want to add anything to that?
I'm hoping Shelley, she's on, because she can talk specifically about where the money is.
Oh, good. Hi, Shelley. Shelley, you're on mute. You're on mute.
Thanks.
you.
Sorry, new to Zoom. We use Teams. I can assure you that at least the dollars that are available, we have $500,000 appropriated each year, general fund money. So that will be available each year. And then we have a pot of money that rolled over at DSS from the old tobacco and trust fund money. There's about 650,000. That part would be one time. So it is available depending on the timing of the contracts and what other initiatives we may use that funds for.
So Shelley, if you're part of this, how close do you think we are to the contracts being signed? And do you think that Amy will be in a position to give us an update at our next autism meeting?
Well, that's on Amy's end, unfortunately. DSS is the one who handles the contracts. So we don't have that at OPM.
Yeah, I would want to say that we do check on it too.
Yes.
And, you know, we're pretty dogged on it. And it's like Kathy said, it's frustrating for everyone that stuff moves so slowly.
So Jude, do you think, since you've been around the longest, do you think, and I'm saying it quite respectfully. I saw the look on your face. I wasn't saying it disrespectfully.
I have been around the
I've
longest.
enjoyed working with you over the last 16 years. So let me just say that. But do you think that Amy, from what you know, right? Because like you said, you're monitoring it. Do you think that Amy will be in a better position to give us more information come our next meeting?
I hope so. And we were talking about this yesterday. So we will follow up as well. And I think it's good you will, but we will too.
Good. Thank you. Appreciate that. Jim, did you have a
Shelley-
follow-up?
Shelley and I
Yes.
talk frequently, so I should be able to get her that information as well.
Great.
Right.
Yeah, and if you have both folks, just so you know, council members, just so you know, if you've got the agency and the governor's office working together, that's how this is going to get done. So I want to say thank you to Shelley and Judy for also supporting DSS on this and helping to move this along. Jim, did you have a follow-up?
Yes, for me, you know, it was on the agenda, right? Because I asked it to be put on the agenda last time. But again, it's clear that nobody, you know, thought that like we need an answer for this. So nothing was done before the meeting. So again, it was just sort of a non-event. And the other thought is if this was a priority, right? If people could make it a priority, then there's a chance it could get through. And these years and years would actually come to an end. I appreciate everybody's efforts, but these are needs. These are real needs for people with autism, for money that was designated for that use. And it's just been years and years and it's not happening.
So Jim, let me say this. I hear your frustration. I understand your frustration, but let me just say this. We're closer now than we've ever been. I'm confident with OPM being on this and DSS that we will have more information come the next meeting. All I can tell you is the process is what it is. We know government moves very slowly, but we have, as new chairs of this council, have made this a priority. And that's why it's on the agenda. And you can't ask for the agencies to do any more, but be honest around where we are. Amy could come in here and just fluff it, and she's not. She's being honest that the process is taking longer than they want. It's taken longer than OPM wants. So, you know, I hear your frustration. I think we're all frustrated, but I think that we're closer than we've ever been. And I think that we need to, you know, what's the alternative, right? We have no power to do any more than what we're doing, right? It will be on the agenda every meeting until we get a resolution on this. That's the commitment that as co-chairs we're giving you right now.
Okay, I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, and I know Bill Halsey left, and I'm not sure, Amy, if you're going to be in a position or Mike to talk about this. One of the things that we talked about at the last meeting was the new Medicaid director, Guy, and what his specialty is in data collection. And over the meetings that I've had with him, they're looking at making sure that they use benchmarks and data for all programs under Medicaid, right, moving forward. And so one of the things that we were wondering is, you know, has there been any movement with Guy around data collection have you seen any changes within the agency, and how will that impact, like the autism waiver, which is, one of the things that we're talking about here?
I can't speak specifically to that. I know that he recently hired somebody to come in to help support him in those ventures. He actually probably just started a few days ago, and I don't know his name, but he is really forward thinking and a very, very smart man. So I almost wonder if we could invite him to the next council meeting. You guys would really like to meet him. He's a pretty neat person. So I think that he would probably be best suited to speak towards that. I mean, I know that that's a real passion of his. So I would love to invite him if we could. I know he's busy, but
I think that I totally agree with you. I have been in many meetings since Guy has been hired, and I know that he is really open to meeting with, all different groups and kind of giving his thoughts. And then also he really wants to hear from people like our council who have an expertise where, what kind of data should be collected, right? And how do we use that data, on the waiver to get more people off the wait list, or even, for example, when it comes time for renewal, what kind of services, like where are we with that? So I will, if you want to talk to Guy, I will also send him a formal
that would be
invite
great.
from the council, if that's okay with everyone on the council. Do you think that's a good idea to have Guy come to the next meeting? I know, Jim, you were very interested in this when we talked about it at the last meeting. Do you think that's a good way to proceed?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, data is his passion. He's very forward thinking, so I think having him come on to speak to everybody would be great.
Okay, then that's what we'll do. We'll make sure that he gets an invite for the next meeting. And I'm sure if he can accommodate it, he's been really good about making sure that his schedule accommodates, meeting with all different groups. So that's great. Any other questions about data collection? Is there anything that you would like to ask Amy about, that we're either doing or should be doing when it comes to data collection? Seeing none, we will move on to the next agenda item, which was Krista Oshashevsky, and she doesn't seem to be on here. I'm not sure if she's away, because I had sent her a text on another issue and hadn't heard from her. Judy, do you know by chance? Oh,
She sent an email that she
Yeah.
thought the meeting was canceled and now has a conflict. So
Yeah, I just saw it come through.
Okay, I didn't see it. I apologize. I bet it was because we moved from the Teams to, I think that happened to a lot of people's calendars. So, okay, I'll reach out to Krista and ask her if she can come.
She thought it was canceled.
Yeah, I think that's happening with the Teams, us moving from Teams over to Zoom. We'll reach out to Krista and make sure that, and see if she can be at our next meeting and give us an update. Is there anything else from everyone that's on here? We were going to talk about the remote services, and they were doing a presentation to families. Was there anything else that anybody either attended that you would like another update, or do we just want the update on the remote services, which was what we were going to ask her to present? Seeing none. If you do think of something, because I know sometimes we walk away from a meeting and we're like, oh, we should have asked that, please feel free to send it to Lisa. She is still our administrator for this council, and we'll make sure that Krista gets that request so that she's prepared at the next meeting for that. Housing Subcommittee. Lois or Jim, have there been any meetings since the last time, and do you have any updates on that? And then from there, we'll go to the agency. Lois, you're on mute.
I guess, I think we left it where, Jim, as you had done some work and pulled things together. But nobody called any meetings, or, I mean, there's been not at least I wasn't invited to them if they did. So Gymnast, did you do anything? I mean, my assumption is you are the kind of the chair of that subcommittee, or no?
Yes, I think that I did sign up for that or volunteer for that. So yeah, no, I have nothing to report. I had attended the housing presentation that Representative Abercrombie just referenced. I took some notes on that, and I reached out to I forget the gentleman's name. He runs the LARC, the Litchfield ARC. Because I'm also in Torrington, and they were specifically talking about some Torrington apartments and housing that was being set up. But no, I've been profiling some of the other housing models across the country, as I reported in the last few meetings. So I can pick that up again. And I think from where I'm sitting in terms of housing, we're looking at when I think about everything we've been talking about in terms of like other priorities, and we've got waiver changes and concerns and centers of excellence, it continues to be something that it's going to be on my docket, sooner probably than I expect as a mom of a child with autism. So it's certainly a priority, but I could use some direction, I think, Jim and anyone else on the committee in terms of where and what exactly we want to report out to the committee, if that makes sense.
Lois and Jim, since the both of you have been around the longest with the housing issue and have been in multiple meetings, do we think that maybe we need to have a subcommittee meeting around this issue just to help Gemma navigate this? Or do you?
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
So
I think, and go ahead, Kat.
No, go ahead, Lois, sorry.
No, I think we should absolutely get that back, happening. So reach out to us and we'll go from there.
So what we'll do is let's just make this easier for everybody. Gemma and I will talk after this meeting. We will have Lisa send out a request to whomever would like to be part of that subcommittee. And then from there, we will set a date for the first meeting, just to kind of gather our thoughts and be able to move this agenda forward, if that sounds okay to everyone on the council. A lot of people aren't showing their screen, so I can't see if they're agreeing or not. But I'm just going to assume, since no one is shaking their head no, that that's a good way for us to move forward. Lynn, I see your hand raised.
Okay.
Thank you, Kathy. So I'm just learning about, and some of you may know a lot more about this. I'm on a board for an agency that serves folks with developmental disabilities, including autism, and they're very involved in looking at cluster housing. Are you guys familiar with that term? And so there's actually two projects going on that sound like the little I'm learning, one in New Britain and one starting in Waterbury, that are looking at providing housing with supports both wraparound services and also remote services. So when that meeting request comes out, I will try to gather some information on where that is and how it might be appropriate or not for our population. But it's something happening real time that this agency is quite involved in. So it's not conceptual, it's actually occurring. So I can provide some information on that.
Lynn, my internet cut out. Can I have the name of? Sorry, Kathy.
It's called cluster housing.
Okay.
Okay, and I'll send you a little bit of information ahead of time on the little bit that I know about it and the group that's actually involved in two projects currently.
Awesome.
That's great. Jim? Thank you, Lynn. Jim?
Yeah, sure. I think the other part of the process, the other front we were working on was the interagency committee. And I think we were told that Amy James is attending those meetings. And I wonder if Amy had an update, number one. And number two, if we do pull together a subcommittee meeting, I think it's important that Amy is there. Amy?
Amy James? She's still on.
Yes,
there.
no, I'm here.
Oh, there you are.
Sorry, I was muted.
Did you hear what Jim's question was?
No, just say it again. Sorry.
Okay.
No
problem.
I think,
Go
Amy,
ahead,
my understanding is that you're attending the interagency housing committee.
Yes.
Okay. Has there been any developments there, or are you seeing any openings, or is there any information that would be helpful to us?
Not housing per se, but
sort of a offshoot of that is actually, I don't know if she's on, no, she's not on the call, is the possibility through the DARPA funding of having 24-hour wraparound services, which would, there's not all of our folks, but a chunk, I'd say, I don't know, 10, 20% who really do need that level of attention and somebody to be available to them. So that part's kind of exciting because it wouldn't come out of the waiver itself. It would literally be under Medicaid and it wouldn't add to their budgets, which was the biggest issue of the wraparound services on the housing. However, a lot of the housing is still designed with DDS exclusively in mind, right, where you have to do their wraparound services. Now, if we can get them to accept the DARPA funded wraparound services, then we could qualify for those housing situations as well. But in terms of housing that really fits our folks, they're really not talking about doing any of that. So you're either in the DDS model of supported housing, or you're doing disability housing that is with the addition of some wraparound services, which as I said, we definitely have a handful of people who really would not be safe if they were living in anything less than that level of oversight.
So Amy, are there ways for that committee to look at that model for the folks who don't need the wraparound services, but do need, housing with some supports? I mean, that's the group that's really falling through the gap here, falling through the crack here. Is there any opportunity to?
I bring it up every time. I'm like, this model does not work for our folks. We just had 2 people who were on the wait list on Park Street, in West Hartford, and they were so excited. They got 2-bedroom houses. We had 2 people who were willing to live together, and then we were told, oh yeah, that's not going to work. So like, it's very frustrating because we have people sign up for all of these new developments and they never ever qualify.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Yes.
Go ahead, Lois.
Okay, thank you. Whatever we put together in that next meeting needs to include both Dawn and Steve DeLilla. They need to be, actively involved as they have been. I think that's important, as well as Amy.
Who are they, Lois? Who are those 2 individuals?
Dawn Lambert and Steve DeLilla. Yeah. Did you hear me?
I did. I know Dawn. Who was the second gentleman? Who was the gentleman?
Steve.
From the Department of Housing.
Housing. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
And he's been very helpful and receptive to us. And Amy, he's on that other committee, right? The interagency committee? Steve?
Yes. Yeah. So there's a lot of overlap with those 2 committees.
Right.
But because the DARPA funding became available and Dawn just kind of was able to kind of be off to the races with it.
Yeah.
Because this will cover not just our waiver, it would cover all waiver service people. So it could potentially support ABI folks, or, I mean, it would be far more comprehensive than any small thing that we do. And the good news about that is it's also harder to take away, because it would be covering, it would be across waiver. So that part, I'm actually very excited. It's the only place we've seen significant movement. So I don't want to in any way rain on that parade. That actually is going to be, I think, a very good thing. The issue around housing, though, remains. We still have people who are just kind of in that place where if they are not receiving Social Security, they don't qualify for disabled housing, which I find very frustrating.
Yeah.
Because we get them ready and we get them to work full time, and then they're off Social Security, and now they can't qualify for senior disabled housing.
Yeah.
On the flip side, they should be able to it would be really nice if we had RAP certificates for the people who fall below the threshold, and also that we think about some sort of planned community situations that I think ideally would be mixed, much the way the new park development is a mixed. It's not just people with disabilities. It's not just people with low income. It's a mixed. Some of them are competitive rate. I think that our folks would thrive in that kind of a setting. I really do. If
right.
Yana were here, I'm channeling my inner Yana here. If Yana were here, she would say that's exactly what we need. We need, like, you know, studios and single apartments, but opportunities to get together in a communal kind of common areas where there's some programming. Nobody needs to babysit our folks, but you know, we may need that overnight wraparound service, and it would be, and because they're not going to naturally come up with their own social connective situations, have that kind of, I mean, that would be like the ideal setting. And actually, she has shared with me, they do this in Europe all the time, and we do not. And I don't know how to, you know, it's just something we do not find of value here.
Yeah. No, I think you're right on, Amy. Absolutely. I think you're absolutely right on. So, so let's get that started. Let's get it back in motion again, the committee.
Yeah, we'll have Lisa send out an email to everybody requesting who wants to be part of that. And then from there, we will set up the date. In the interim, I will reach out to the agencies and just see who wants to participate from them. Jim, you still have your hand up. Did you have another question or comment, sir?
Nope.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Any other questions or comments around housing? Okay, seeing none, I think we have a plan and we will move forward with that. Next up was the Nomination Subcommittee. So guys, we can't make this stuff up. Can't make this up. We met as a subcommittee to put forward, we had 3 candidates who were interested in becoming part of this council that were had the credentials as a pediatrician or a doctor that services children on the spectrum. We met, we came up with a great candidate, and since she had applied almost 2 years ago, her job has changed and she can no longer participate. I do apologize because we didn't, you know, it took us a while to get that communication back and forth. So my suggestion would be this. Since we already met and we did talk about the other 2 candidates, what I would like to do is for the subcommittee, I don't think we need to meet again. I would like to do it by an email because I think we did have a second person we were interested in, and put that person's name forward to the subcommittee. If everyone agrees, then we will have Lisa send out a formal invite. I don't think, and Lisa, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we have gotten any other applicants to date. So it's not like we have a big pool of individuals that want to be on the council. Lisa, did we to date get any other new applicants for this particular position on the council?
No, we did not.
Okay. Jim, do you have a question or a comment?
Yeah, can we call before we send the letter, can we call the person and just make sure they're available? Because I think part of the problem was that the other candidate sent in their letter of interest, you know, over a year ago, and so things change. So if after we decide who we're going to offer to, if somebody can just call them and say, hey, you know, we're going to make this offer, are you still available? Just so we don't do this again.
I think, Jim, truthfully, I think we need to do it by an email so that we have a formal invitation, but that's what Lisa did, right? Lisa, once we picked the person, had sent the formal invite. And then
but what I'm saying, Kathy, is before the formal invite, let's just call the person and say, hey, you sent us this letter a while ago. You know, we've gotten around to considering it. Are you available? Can you make Wednesday meetings? You know, and then if they say yes, then we say great, and then we send them the email.
I apologize. I misunderstood what you were saying. So Lisa, we had 2 more candidates that we had talked about. Can you send them both an email telling them that we are considering them for this position on the council and if they're still available?
No, Kathy, I'm sorry. I'm not being clear. What I'm saying is do send out the email. Let's decide which candidate we're going to offer to.
I think
then,
we should just do both, Jim, because if the one that we want isn't available, at least we have another candidate. We only have 2 candidates. Send them both if they're still available. That's all we're looking for at this point.
but I don't, I wouldn't want to ask, say, hey, are you available? And then a week later say, oh, sorry, we didn't pick you. I mean, I
No,
would
but we're
just,
not offering them anything. We're just asking if they're available like we do all members on the council. I would
Okay.
rather know who we've got, because what if both of them can't do it? We're
That's
taking,
right,
you
but
know what
that's-
I mean?
but that's where I would, okay, all right. I would do it differently, but that's fine. Just as long as we do it, I guess.
I agree. No, I agree. So Lisa will take care of that. She'll just send out a question saying, are you still interested in being a member of the council? And then we will from there figure out who's still left that's interested, and then we will meet and decide from there. Lynn?
Yeah, so I was just going to say, I think that's a good approach, because I do recall looking at one of the letters for one of the other interested parties, and they indicated that they would have interest depending on the amount of time and essentially effort this would require. And I think, you know, that gives me some pause when you're putting parameters from the get-go, because I think that's one of our challenges is we obviously want people who are talented, but also who are able to be involved and have a good level of participation. So I think the approach will weed that out, maybe.
Thank you. I think so too. I think it's a good way to proceed, just to, you know, for time constraints also, because it's not like Lisa just has one job to do for us. So I'm just trying to make it more efficient of a process as we can. Any other thoughts or comments about the nomination subcommittee for that position? I will tell you that, and I will speak for myself, and I don't know if Gemma had the opportunity. I was having a hard time opening up the membership from Lisa. Lisa had been sick also, so there's been some time elements for us. But we are looking at the membership and who has not been participating and where we go from there. So what we will do is we will look at that membership, and then from there, we will let everyone on the council know where we are with that and who individuals are that have not been participating. And then we will send them an email, because I want to give them the respect, right? Because they were on the council, of seeing if they still want to participate, or if, you know, time is not their friend and they feel that they can't be committed at this point. Does that sound like a good way to proceed from the council?
Yeah, it does.
Does anybody else have any thoughts or comments about the membership at this point?
Maybe, I don't know how we would phrase it, so someone else might wordsmith it, but if they are unable to, but have a recommendation, we could always say, I have a girlfriend that, and I can't, you know, attend as a mom, you know, of a parent of a child of autism, but I've got another autism mom friend, and maybe she wants to be throw her name in the hat. I don't know.
That's a great idea. I think that's a great idea. Any other thoughts?
Kathy, I did review the list. I don't know if you received, I sent a spreadsheet of all the members in the attendance.
I did, but it wouldn't open for some, you sent me two
okay.
different documents, and for some reason, both wouldn't open. So I didn't get a chance to talk to you about it, so I apologize.
No, that's okay. So there's been members that weren't able to make certain meetings, you know, but there's been one member that has not attended any meeting at all.
Yeah.
And I think it was, they said due to they didn't receive the attendance, and we figured that out.
Okay.
Or they didn't see the schedule. We figured that part out, and she still wasn't able to attend today, and that's for a parent or guardian of an adult child with autism.
Okay. So we'll take a look at it, and and Gemma, I, and Yana will draft something with Lisa to the members that have not, you know, because of time limits, been able to participate, and explain to them that we really do need their expertise, and that's why we're very scriptive in our membership under the council, and just give them the opportunity to say, do you think you can, you know, make the future meetings? If not, we totally understand, but we really need somebody in that position that can participate. Does that sound good to the group?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other thoughts or ideas around membership at this point?
I think we need to be getting the word out, that, I think that particular position was a parent of an adult child. Am I correct about that, Lisa?
Yes, you are.
Okay, so that's what we need to be looking for. And I think people need to be thinking about who they might know, who might be a good candidate, and maybe getting it to the committee, to the council.
And we have a lot of expertise on this with different organizations. So I think you guys would be the best ones once we figure out what position we're looking for, right? Because we don't want to put it out there until we know who's going to commit or not. And then from there, ask for participation. So I think that's a great idea, Lois. So what we'll do is we will look at the list. We will talk to Lisa about sending out a formal request if they're going to continue to participate. And then from there, we will have Lisa send out an email to this body just saying that a parent of adult, we're looking for a participant of a parent of an adult child so that everybody has the opportunity to see who would like to join. Sound good?
Yeah.
Great. Mike, did you have a question or a comment?
My thought is if you are looking for someone, is that something we can send out to everyone that's already on the waiver, their parents?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be a good pool of people.
That's what I thought. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mike, for that suggestion. We appreciate that. Seeing no other comments around that, the next item, and this was a mistake on my part, I put grant dollars down. What I meant was, and I apologize, I meant the information we were looking for from the Center of Excellence update. So I apologize that it was on there twice, which was the same issue. So we will kind of scratch that at this point. I would like to open it up to anybody that has any comments or questions under the old business that we just talked about, maybe clarification or something they just thought about on anything that we've just discussed. Seeing none, we will go to new business. So I think we have a good start for the next board meeting for this council. Is there anything that we did not discuss today that you would like to have put on as an agenda item for the next council meeting? And I think that's in November. Lisa, am I correct that the next, November 16th. Is there anything else that you would like to have on the agenda that we didn't discuss today? I know we're going to do a follow-up on the waiver, or we could do that by an email after today's hearing, because once we vote on it, it will be submitted. You tell me which way you would like to do the waiver for the next meeting. So let me say it this way. Do you want us to just send out an email after today's hearing saying that the waiver that we talked about today is being submitted as is, or Amy has talked to the commissioner when it came to the training and have decided to move in a new direction? Is that okay to do it that way through an email? I've got a yes from Lynn. Is there anybody that's opposed to that? Okay, so that's how we'll do that so that everybody's on the same page. I know 2 months is sometimes a long time to kind of think about something. And maybe what we can do is if they do decide to put some dollars towards the training, then maybe we can just do that as an update at the next meeting, depending what happens with that. Is there anything else anybody would like to discuss at the next council meeting? So the only thing I'm going to say, guys, and I know that some of you I've had many conversations about, but after the November meeting, you're going to have to start to think about a new council person, because I will no longer qualify since I will not be a state rep as of January. I know that some of you who I love dearly and have worked with for a long time have asked me to stay on But I will tell you, quite frankly, I am disconnecting from everything. I have gotten off all my boards and commissions, all my nonprofit boards, because I need a year to figure out what my future looks like. I'm not applying for another job. I'm not going anyplace that way. But, I'm retiring to spend time with my husband and travel. I just had another granddaughter. I've had 2 granddaughters in the last 2 months. And I want to enjoy it. And, so as much as I love you guys, and I've been on this council for 16 years, and you guys know you'll always have my heart, I'm just not, I don't qualify anymore to be on this council, but, I won't leave you hanging. I will help as long as I can. But we really need to think about, you guys need to think about who's interested in becoming the other co-chair with Gemma and Yana. So, and it can't be somebody from the agency, guys. We cannot put them in the same position as we did before. It just doesn't work. So kind of think about that, and we'll find somebody. We've got a great council here. So somebody I know will step up to the plate, but just start to think about that. Doriana.
Wasn't there also, Kathy, another representative that you were thinking about bringing to the meetings that could possibly participate?
Yeah, but she wouldn't be ready to be a co-chair yet. So, and that's Tammy Exum from West Hartford. The thing you guys got to remember is we actually have to wait for the election to see who gets elected. Like, Tammy said she wants to be part of this council. Which she would qualify under the elected official, and I don't want to speak for her because she may change her mind, but I think it would be kind of a heavy lift to come in as a co-chair when you really don't know the council or all of the issues we've been dealing with over the years. So I can talk to Tammy, but I think we'd be putting her in a difficult position, and we don't know what committee she's going to end up on come January, right? So she may be a chair of another committee. There's a lot of work that goes into being a chair. So for her to, and she works, she's got a full-time job, and she has a child on the spectrum. So we're asking a lot of her. So let me just say, I don't want to volunteer her. I think it would be better if it's somebody from this council who has been a participant over the years, who knows the people on the council and understands the issues. So just think about it. That's all I'm saying. Any other questions or comments about that? So it looks like there's no new business that anybody wanted to really discuss or bring up. What I will say is, and again, sometimes you walk away from meetings and things come to mind. I'm notorious for that. If you think of anything that you do want for the November meeting, please send it to Lisa so that we can discuss it with the agency. I always like to give them the time that they need to either collect the data or to really see if they're prepared to do it for November. I want people to just really understand also that all of our human services agencies are really shorthanded. I don't think people understand the impact of the retirees as of July 1st. A lot of them have been able to come back as contractors, but I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Judy, I think they're only eligible for like 120 days, I think it was, or 190 days, one of those. 120. 120. So, the agencies are doing the best they can. And there's been some changes with how we do human resource and things like that and I'm just going to say it because you guys know I'm always honest in what I say, hasn't been good across the board, the way we made some changes. So that slowed down the process. I will give you an example. Aging and Disability still hasn't even posted for their liaison position, and he's been gone since June. Now he's back helping Andrew, but it's things like that, that we really, the agencies are in really difficult positions. So I just want everybody, and it's not just DSS, it's across the spectrum of our human services agencies, which other agencies too, but that's where my heart lies, is worrying about them. So we will do the best we can with with getting the hiring through and these positions that are needed. But I just want you to kind of keep that in your mind as we talk about these issues. Anything else anybody would like to bring up or comment on? Well, guys, we did this in a real timely manner. Look at that. It's almost
Kathy, I just have-
11:30.
I have one quick question because I
Sure.
joined later. Did we do the minutes?
Oh, we didn't. I apologize. We didn't vote on the minutes. I'm sorry. That was my fault. I got distracted when we were having a hard time with everybody connected. Can I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the previous meeting.
So moved.
It's been moved by Lynn Ricky. Can I have a second? Second by Lois. Are there any changes or comments? Seeing none, we will approve the minutes from the last meeting. Thank you, Lisa. I apologize for that.
No, that's okay.
I will turn it over to, is she on here? My co-chair. I know she was in between a doctor's visit. I think there she is, Gemma.
I'm in the car, so I'm just leaving the doctor's office, but I have no closing comments, just looking forward to connecting with anyone on the housing subcommittee meeting we're going to schedule. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Gemma. Good luck. Well, thank you everybody for being here today. Enjoy the rest of this great day, and we will talk to you soon. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.